Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? This is going to be the first video in what will probably be a long-running series. I get a lot of questions asked on my videos now down in the comments, and that's totally awesome. And I try to reply to those when it's either appropriate or I'm able to. But because not everyone reads the comments on the videos, and maybe the questions don't necessarily warrant getting their own video in order for me to answer them, I figure I'm going to start doing these kind of Q&A videos where I'll just pick up all of these questions that I get asked pretty frequently or seem to be pretty good questions and just throw them in a video so you can all get the answers to them. I think it'll work a lot better that way in the long term. So let's get started. So the first question for today, what microphone do I use? And I'm assuming that you're talking about this one, my side address condenser here. This is an Audio-Technica AT2020. It's kind of the lowest in their range of the side address condensers, but it's a fantastic value. These usually only go for about $100, which is really a pretty good deal considering the level of performance that you get out of it. It comes in two different versions, either analog XLR, which is what I have here, and this requires phantom power, or it comes in a USB version where it's got the analog to digital converter built in and you just plug USB into the back of your computer and can record straight to it. For most people, probably the USB version is going to be the better bet, but I went with the XLR version because I like having things that are kind of future-proof. XLR analog audio isn't going anywhere anytime soon, so who knows what USB is going to look like in 10 years. XLRs are still going to be around at that time, so that's why I went with that version of this mic. But AT2020, great deal, go pick one up. Another question, just getting into repairing consoles. What are my thoughts on craft cutting board to work on and soldering paste? So two questions in one. The first one let's address in terms of protecting your work surface. I don't do all of my kind of modding and repairs and stuff here at my desk. I do them in various places based on what kind of work I need to do. If it's just simple, unscrewing things, taking them apart to clean them up, I'll usually work on some paper towels or something like that here on the desk. Just something to keep from scratching the desk from just normal kind of wear and tear. If I really need to wrench on something or cut something, there's too much risk of actually slipping and damaging the desk with just something like paper towels. You can go and get those kind of craft cutting mats that are supposed to be, cut proof and all that, and those work pretty well. They can be kind of spendy. Sometimes you can cheat and use something like a piece of foam core, just cut down to the size of your work area. Those generally end up would be disposable. I mean, you cut the crap out of them enough times and you just have to throw them out. But a piece of foam core is less than $5, so that may be something worth getting started. In terms of soldering paste specifically is for use with surface mount components. It's basically kind of a thick solder like the consistency of peanut butter that you use with a stencil when you're building PCBs and placing surface mount components on to run through either hot air or infrared reflow ovens. That's not probably what you're talking about. What I think you're asking about is solder flux. Solder flux is kind of a translucent, gooey stuff. It looks like petroleum jelly. What that stuff does is it helps solder flow better and keep from sticking to stuff that you don't want it to stick to. Solder flux is very, very useful to have. You can get it either in a jar with like a brush that you brush on, or in the form of a pen where you just kind of squirt it out and smear it around. So solder flux, definitely worth having if you're going to be doing a lot of soldering, but to just get started with soldering, if you don't want to spend the money on it, don't worry about it right away. You probably will want some eventually though. All right, next question. What should one use to clean corroded contact pins in Game Boy cartridges? It's going to be the same answer whether it's the cartridge itself or the slot in the handheld, and that is a cotton swab soaked in isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol, some people also call it isopropanol. It's really actually the kind of stuff that you use to like clean wounds, so you'll find it at the pharmacy or the chemist. It's very cheap, a couple of bucks for a decent sized jar of the stuff, and it pretty much lasts forever. You don't need a ton of it when you're working with it. Why you want to use that for cleaning contacts is because it dries very quickly, unlike water. So because it dries so quickly, there's very little chance of shorting something out. Of course, when you're working on stuff like that, you want to remove power from it. So if you're cleaning the cartridge pins in your handheld, take the batteries out of the handheld, be smart about it. But it's great because you don't really have to worry about letting it sit and dry for 24 hours after you clean it out, just to make sure that it doesn't short anything out later on. Usually within 10-15 minutes, isopropanol is completely dried out. So it works great for cleaning any sort of electrical contacts or circuit boards themselves. Okay, switching gears with the questions a little bit. The most common question that I get asked about my review on the Sony WCS-999 wireless microphone system: can you plug it into an iPhone or other smartphone? So the answer to that question is a conditional yes. What I mean by that: yes, you can take the receiver from the microphone setup and plug the jack into an iPhone or smartphone, but you need to have an adapter first, and that adapter is going to be one of these. What this adapter does is it takes the 4-position jack, like the kind you'll find on an iPhone or other smartphone, and break it out into 2 separate jacks, one for audio out and one for audio in. The audio out is normally used for headphones, the audio in is going to be for a microphone. So if you get one of these adapters, they're very common on eBay or Amazon or any other online shopping site that has electronic accessories like that. I think this one I bought off of eBay for maybe $5 shipped all the way from China. Very, very inexpensive. Simply take the mic jack that comes out of the receiver, plug it into the mic in on the adapter, plug the adapter into your phone, and off you go. Likewise, another question about that wireless setup: I have insert model number of camera here. Will it work with that? The answer to this is pretty much universal. If your camera has a microphone in jack on it, then this receiver will work with it. The receiver outputs a microphone level signal. If your camera has a mic in jack, you just plug it in and off you go. If your camera does not have a mic in of any sort, you're going to need to go to an external audio recorder, in which case then you're going to be running what's called dual system audio, where you've got the audio recorded through one device and the video recorded through another one, and you have to match them up together in post-production. And finally, a quick and final, hopefully final, update on the whole Game Boy Advance backlit screen mod thing. One of my YouTube commenters dropped me a line and said that Rose Colored Gaming had said that basically all of those screens, they went out of production. There were a stock of them that were sitting around, and when they were gone, and nobody's making them anymore. It's possible for them to make more of those screens. They're not terribly proprietary or anything like that, but it costs a lot of money for that, because then you have to worry about minimum orders. Rose Colored Gaming said that they would be looking at a minimum order of 5,000 of those screens for any manufacturer to want to fire up a production run of that. And if you figure that each of those screens at their cost would be something like probably $10 each, you're looking at $50,000 just to start that up again. And they're not sure, and I don't fault them for this, they're not sure it would be worth sinking that kind of upfront cost into getting that production run. They're not sure that there's that many people who would buy that part and continue to do that mod. Your best bet, if you want to continue to do the mod, is to try to find either one of the last remaining screens, or buy an AGS 101 and steal the screen out of it, or just do a front light mod for the GBA, which is actually where it all started years ago. Before people figured out the backlight mod, they were doing front light mods. So now those are kind of becoming the thing again, to do the front light mod, simply because those backlight parts are no longer available. So I think I've prattled on for long enough here. If you have any questions for me, let's keep this series going. I don't have a set schedule for it or anything like that. I'm just gonna drop one of these videos whenever I feel like I've got enough questions to make it worth answering. Go ahead and leave your questions for the next video down in the comments below, and we'll see if we can get to them. And if somebody asks a question already in the comments and you too want to hear and answer that one, plus one that one, or do a reply to that comment saying, yeah, I want to know this too. And I'll kind of stack the questions that way. The more popular questions that get asked are the ones that I'm going to prioritize in making sure I get answered in the next video. It doesn't even have to be gaming related. If it's technology related or whatever, go ahead and leave the question down there, and we'll take a look at it next time we shoot one of these videos. So until then, if you like the video, thumbs up if you please. If you haven't, please subscribe. The button's right down there. And as always, thank you all so much for watching.